I have to mind the shop. I just want to know you better. I'm just a housewife and a mother. And doesn't a housewife have thoughts and feelings and wishes just like everyone else?
The film that debuted at the acclaimed Toronto Film Festival last year. The film that recently walked away with an incredible 11 SAFTA awards. And now the film that premieres in South Africa this Friday, the 13th of February. The World Unseen. It's a 1950s apartheid drama with a hint of romance to set just the right mood for couples across the nation this Valentine's Day and perhaps inspire an appreciation for the lives we lead today. We could do with a lot more of that. We have award-winning novelist, scriptwriter and director Shamim Sarif here in studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Graham.
Congratulations on the success of this film and all of your successes over recent years. It really has been a fantastic run. How do you feel about the film now getting to the point that it's about to premiere in the country that it's obviously set in? It's been a long road, I would imagine.
It has been a long road, but a great road. So I feel very fortunate that we've come this far. And I think premiering in South Africa is particularly exciting for us because it's set here and because my family history is here. My parents and grandparents are from South Africa. So it's really meant a lot to me to see the reception here.
And when we talk about human rights, an issue that, while yes, this is based in 1950s, as we build up towards our elections, South Africans need to be more self-aware now than they ever have been. A lot of these issues just as pertinent today.
I think so, and I think that's what was interesting. The reaction we got worldwide to The World Unseen is that it's a very specific time and place in 1950 South Africa, but the themes are quite universal. You know, everybody goes through those kinds of ideas and feelings of trying to break boundaries, challenge the ideas that we're all brought up with, and maybe do things a little differently.
A lot of sensitive issues are dealt with, and I wouldn't say you tiptoe around them, but rather dance around them poetically.
Thank you.
How do you approach that sort of situation where you are going to be dealing with something that could create a negative response as a filmmaker? You're wanting to draw people into that narrative.
Sure. I think the key for me in doing this was to really build characters that you could believe in. And I think because I'd written the book, I kind of had a head start on that, I hope. And I think when people are faced with characters that they identify with and you get into the story and feel their dilemmas and feel their emotional journey, you begin to maybe be less judgmental about some of the maybe what people are calling the more controversial aspects of the film.
All right, let's take a look at one of the excerpts from that film.
I came to see if Miriam would come cook for the cafe.
My wife doesn't need to work. We're quite busy and there's a lot to do around the shop.
No, but I'm sorry, it's not a question of me.
No! Okay, take us through the situation developing in that scene.
Well, we have two very different Indian women in this movie. Miriam, played by Lisa Ray, is a traditional housewife and mother, and Amina, the one who's causing a bit of a stir there, is more of a rebel, runs her own cafe, and which is kind of a grey area in a very apartheid-driven world where people can go to be who they are. So the influence that these two have on each other and the way they challenge each other to think a little differently about the world around them is really the core of the film.
Just watching the way your eyes light up when you spoke about both characters, I'm guessing there's an element of yourself represented in both of these women. The process for you, seeing this through the phase of writing, developing these characters, developing this unseen world, then translating that to screen. Take us through that creative process.
Well, it's been a dream for me, you know, because as the writer of the novel, you're in control of your world and you have a very strong idea of your characters. But what was great in actually being able to direct it and do the screenplay myself was that you could follow that.
Was it challenging, putting on the director's hats?
It was very challenging, but I had great support from Hanan, my partner, who's the producer of the film. And she's given me, you know, the great creative freedom to do what we want. We had a great South African co-producer in Brigid Olien of Do Productions. So I was very supported during the making of the film to just kind of focus on the creative, which was a gift.
Now, a thoroughly South African narrative, well, yes, I'm assuming an international audience would be able to draw elements from it. We've seen this dynamic before where that South African story gets first told on an international platform before it comes home.
Yeah.
Was there a thought process there with releasing first, obviously timing being a factor. Would you have liked to have seen this released in South Africa before taking it to the festivals and releasing it to the world?
You know, we're just happy that we got a good South African release for this movie, and I think it's almost a function of the way the distribution industry works now, in that you do film festivals like Toronto, and based on that we got a North American release and a Canadian release fairly quickly. So I think it was more a function of the industry rather than a strategy.
Now, you speak about the Canadian and North American release. Now, within a South African context, I think many films are made on a hope and a prayer, and a lot of trade exchange and making sure that just getting to that final end result. Whereas in a global context, you're wanting to make money out of this film. You're wanting to create a business that your investors can draw returns from. Is there a market for selling movies and distributing movies within South Africa?
Gosh, I hope so. We're going to find out. I really hope so. But I'd encourage people to really seek out independent films, especially South African films, and support them, because that's where the dollar comes from. As you say, people are actually going to put their money behind the movies, and that's the support South Africa needs. There's a lot of great talent here. It would be great to see that supported.
Are we going to see you at the launch this Friday?
You are indeed. I'm going to be, there's a premiere in Joburg tomorrow, and definitely I'll be around on Friday.
Thank you so much for joining us, and all the best of luck.
It's been a pleasure.
I hope you continue to be as blessed as you are.
Thank you. I hope so too. Thanks.
That was Shamim Sarif, director and screenwriter for the acclaimed World Unseen. Looks like an absolutely mesmerizing offering.